to those that are still like a bit, up in the air about whether they want to take this on, and especially if they're worried about their role when it comes to AI, lean into it, have your aha moment, take one little thing that, can I swear on the podcast? one
Yes.
thing, one thing that pisses you off every every single day about your job, and see if an AI model can take that pain away from you.
How's it going, everybody? Another episode of the PPC Cave. Today is episode 110. And before I get into it, and with our special guest, Shaquira, I just want to talk to you about Opteo. Opteo has been our sponsor now for a pretty long time. They help in so many ways when it comes to management, freelancing, PPC, not only Google Ads, but other platforms as well. And I don't want to go too hard on the ad read today because I believe we're probably going to bring it up again, but don't forget, go to www.opteo.com/theppccave. Upgrade your regular 14-day trial to a 28-day trial. Just go in the chat box and let them know you heard from the PPC Cave. But I would now like to introduce not only our guest, but our topic. Our topic today is PPC and AI with Shaquira from Opteo. Shaquira, how are you doing?
Hello. Nice to be here. Yeah, no, I'm doing very well, Gene. Thanks for having me back on. I'm glad the first time wasn't such a disaster that you invited me back to chat again.
I had to consult with Ryan, but he was like, okay, it's okay for Shakira to come back. So
Nice.
you're here.
I got I
You're
got the
here.
green light.
Yes, you got the green light. She's back for part two. And today we're going to talk about AI and PPC today. I mean, just to set the scene, AI has been the buzzword, the keyword, the search terms in just so many different searches in the last 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And I think there's this apex or pinnacle coming up in regards to how us PPC managers can really utilize AI amongst all the other ways we utilize it from our just regular day-to-day searching and day-to-day objectives. Shakira, what is your, I guess, setting the scene in your end? How do you use AI today, and how does that kind of blend in with PPC and what you do with Opteo?
Yeah, nice. I mean, for me personally, it's been like a pretty wild 2026 so far. Maybe just even like a wild month with AI. I guess in both a personal role and at Optio, I feel like there's two tracks there. And I mean, in my own personal role, like my boss kind of showed me Claude Code, maybe like a month ago now, and now I genuinely can't remember life without it. So it's like completely like changed the way I work. And then at the same time, obviously working in tech at Opteo, it's been, a huge new part of the product. And so we're layering that in. We're learning more and more every day about how AI and PPC kind of intersect. And I'm having a lot of conversations with PPC managers, like agencies, brands, the whole mix, and just trying to get a read on like where the industry is at the moment. And it's a very, very interesting time, I think.
Can I ask you, because we're going to get super technical, not super technical. If you're a PPC manager listening to the PPC Cave, you know all about what we're talking about. But I want to ask you, what's the quirkiest thing you use AI for? And I'll give you an example of me. Me and my wife are into wine, but we all know wine can get expensive, especially if you're eating out. So I've made like a little project where it has basically a prompt where it says, give me the most under priced wine on this wine list, and I'll go to the actual reservation or restaurant and upload the PDF onto ChatGPT, and it'll be like, give me the key notes, what the difference is in markup, and what the best value is if we were to have dinner here. And it'll just spit out 3 or 4 recommendations with links to those wines if I want to purchase it. And then we'll go to the restaurant and be like, we want XYZ wine. And if we really like it and we taste it, we'll go home and actually buy it. So what in like your daily, what do you kind of like use AI for outside of just PPC?
I mean, firstly, that's an unreal use of AI. I think that's so clever. I love that. I might have to steal that.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I haven't, it's a weird one. I haven't actually like set up workflows in my personal life like that. I definitely use AI sporadically. I think the biggest win I've had recently is sending a picture of my car dashboard. I saw an
Mm,
unfamiliar light pop up that I did not
yeah.
understand. I ignored for way too long, and I was promptly told that I probably have to scrap the whole thing without leaving
Oh no.
ChatGPT. I know. So that's kind of like a
Yikes.
sour story, but I've been using it, yeah, a lot. And yeah, I think I need to take a leaf out of your book and actually pick out some personal workflows and see where I can optimize my own life with it. I've been very heads
Yeah.
down with AI, just like in work mode at the moment.
Yeah, and that's kind of like the good thing about AI is just because for me, like I'll be able to use it seriously. If we're gonna go into an actual account and be like, okay, this is the data that I can upload onto or into ChatGPT or whatever platform you use. But then there's also the novelty, funny. Um, my wife the other day, I guess, was doing a project for her internship, and she was like, can you take this picture and change our faces into Dachshunds, like little dogs? And I was like, yeah, for sure. And because I have the paid version and I did that. So I think just in general, it's almost like when you're reading a book, they say read things that you like. And then when it actually comes to you reading for your personal gain, either in your career or just, more serious fiction or nonfiction things, you'll be able to just utilize a book, or just the workflow of reading becomes smoother. And kind of think that's the adoption in my case for AI. But yeah, so going into this first point with AI and PPC today, are there any other things that you would, I guess, utilize AI for before we get into the next point of how Opteo is using AI?
Yeah, yeah, like I said at the beginning, I've been chatting to a lot of PPC managers, and I guess this past month for me has been a little eye-opening on the spectrum of where everyone's at. I think, like with most things, you get in a bit of an echo chamber, a bit of a bubble, and you assume everyone's like where you're at. Um, but yeah, I'm seeing like a huge spectrum. I've gotten calls with managers who are like petrified when I mention the words AI. Like I can see the fear in their eyes, and you kind of have to go back to basics. And for those people, it's looking for small wins and entry points so that they can have this aha moment with AI. And I'll show you workflow later, but something as simple as taking one repeatable to do that you have like every day or every week, and that you kind of have a hunch that AI could handle, or like a feeling, but you haven't got there yet. You haven't got the appetite to try it, and just
Yeah.
doing it and seeing how it does. The other end of the spectrum is obviously people that are like surpass me like wildly with how much they know. They're asking me
Yeah.
questions that are flying over my head. Slack messaging my CTO a lot to figure out the answers. Yeah, so there's like a massive spectrum, I think, still. Maybe obviously I'm speaking about PPC, but I imagine it's in every industry at the moment. Um, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I think that's very true. Like with the spectrum that we're talking about of what adoption means to either just PPC managers or just in general with people and AI. I've seen people like around, like my wife, use it for more trivial things, and then us as we kind of go down the spectrum, uh, have whole databases of code and scripts that we can upload back into Google Ads, and just all of that being utilized through AI. So I think it is kind of a funny thing to see like where people are at that spectrum. I would say personally, if the spectrum was 1 through 10, 10 is like master level AI guru. I think I would, in all honesty, be at a 4, just because well, we can segue into this here shortly, but without using Opteo and AI, and then of course your PPC platform and Google Ads, I think the guardrails within Opteo has helped benefit my adoption of AI, and we could talk about that later. But because previous to that, I would literally just copy and paste, and then not really, I guess, utilize the depth of what AI can do aside from just like, okay, create me these search keywords or create me some search copy. So that is very fascinating. So okay, if we don't have anything else to add to this first point, we can get into the more meatier, how is Opteo using AI?
Yeah, I mean, just to, I guess, give listeners a bit of a recap on where we're at. I think we touched on it in the episode I came into. I know you've mentioned it since, but yeah, we're in this early access phase at Opteo. We spent the last year rebuilding the app from the ground up, to layer in multiple platforms like Meta and Microsoft. And it was actually it's all happened like weirdly good timing, because a big part of that rebuild was building our own data warehouse. So we'd get all the different ad platforms and we kind of standardize the data. And then when you layer AI on top of that infrastructure, it works really well because um, we've got the data kind of stored away already, which for PPC especially, like if you're going to bring AI into the mix, you're going to have to know it's reliable. You need to know that it's not going to hallucinate or vibe math or whatever it's called. Like you can't really be, a percentage out, especially when you're talking like big budgets. Like a percentage can be a significant amount of money. And so yeah, so that's kind of where we're at. And this year's been really, really fun, to be honest. We started letting users into the new app, and they've been playing around with the new AI tools. And yeah, they're doing some cool stuff. Just trying to keep an eye on what it is people are trying to do with it. And our dev team are yeah, doing a great job at kind of just every single day there's like an improvement they've made to it. And I think where we're at now is exciting. Where we'll be at in 2-3 months is going to be even better, and it's just going to keep going from there. So yeah, it's an exciting time.
Yeah, and guys, this kind of brings back to the ad read earlier. This really just helps, the AI being layered on top with this early access for Opteo is just something that is, I know, game changer is such a cliche, but it really, because when you're managing an account, a lot of the times we're pulled in so many different directions, and a lot of that is the lack of understanding the recent analysis inside a Google Ads account. You might not look at an account for only 4 days and be totally lost when you look at campaign view within Google Ads and be like, why is this CTR is this at this rate, or why is conversions nearly dropped, or conversion value at absolute abysmal compared to the last 7 or 14 days. And this, for me at least, just kind of makes me spiral when I can't pin down why an account is acting the way it is or the reasons for that. But with what Shaquira is talking about with this early access, it really does layer on a bit of guardrails to just kind of help you focus, with where you need to go and how you want to analyze, and then drill down into that analysis instead of just like kind of winging it and saying, okay, well, this is probably why the CTR is low. This is probably why conversion or conversion value is low. Just because, as Shakira said or mentioned, the accuracy is just super important within not only just using AI, but also what we do inside an account to actually optimize it. So yeah, I definitely agree. With AI and how you've been using it in Opteo, are there some things that you're just uh, super excited about, or super just interested in, that you hear continually that PPC managers are saying this is a pain point, and then now it's not so much a pain point, or this is something that I always have to do, and then now it's kind of taking this off of my plate? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. Like, I think two things that I wanted to show you guys a demo of today, were two things that keep coming up that I'm finding really interesting. One is really simple, but it's just like the daily to do. I've been on a few
Mm.
calls where someone got up their Google Doc or their Google Sheet, and they've showed me like where they manually go and like checklist of what to do in an account, especially those like low touch accounts or the accounts you're not living in every single day, which is the reality I think for most Google Ads managers. um, and just like running that to-do list with AI and Opteo as a save prompt, that's been really cool. And also, like you said, you touched on just digging into KPIs, and using the AI to just like cut through all the noise, cut like just get to the thing you need to know what's happening, and then that can help you get to the next steps to actually do the work to rectify or improve anything. So yeah, there's been some cool workflows. But yeah, happy to show you in the app if you'd like.
Yeah, I think that's a good time for any of our listeners on Apple Podcasts or only Spotify. Please switch over to the Spotify video version of this, and also just on YouTube, perhaps, because Shakira is going to show us some things that are valuable. So, yeah, whenever you're ready, you can go ahead and share the demo on the screen.
Okay, cool. Right, so we're inside Opteo, and I won't bore you guys with too much of a demo, but here you've got the little chat GPT icon on the left. So this is AI chat in Opteo. We're in the workspace now. And so one kind of workflow I wanted to chat about was this idea of these repeatable workflows, whatever you want to call them. We call them save prompts in Opteo. So I'm going to head to the prompt library here. So a lot of the time when I'm chatting to PPC managers who are on that end of the spectrum where they're a little scared, they're a little like, frightened of the words AI and they don't know where to start, we spoke about getting that entry point. I think everyone needs to have their moment, I suppose, where they're like, oh, okay, it can do that. That's crazy. And then it'll skyrocket from there. Um, so we give you like a little starter pack of stuff that Opteo AI can do. So here you can see like generate ads from landing page, find keywords in search term report, account performance health check, like pretty heavy duty stuff. Um, and so these are cool. You can ping these over to the chat and it'll do its thing. But what I wanted to show you was just the ability to not work in our little say prompt library, but actually create your own prompts and create your own workflows here. And so the cool one I saw recently that popped up was a user running their to-do list, their daily to-do list through here. And I think this will be personal for everyone. I don't know what's on your list, Jean. Probably like a few classics. But what they did was they just came in here. Let's call this like to-do list. Give it like a fun little icon. And in the system prompt box, very familiar setting. If I assume at this point most people have used an LLM at some point, whether it's just like ChatGPT free or something, where you just like natural language tell it what you want it to do. And so I have one ready to go here, so we don't bore you with my many
Oh,
typos that would have happened. But here, here we go. Here I've written a prompt, and disclaimer, I probably brain dumped this into my notes and asked like ChatGPT to tidy it up before I popped it in here. And that'd be like my record, like it's AI on AI on AI, but just that'd
same.
be my yeah. Yeah. Have you kind of side note, have you started using like a speaking tool, Gene, for AI?
No, no, not at all. So you
I'd
could
Yeah, I'd
bring it
recommend.
in.
I'll recommend one after the session. But the next
Yeah.
level up is like you don't even type anymore. You just speak. You stroll around your house, just like talking to yourself. It's
Yeah,
nuts.
I mean, I've talked to ChatGPT, but I don't know if there's like a speaking tool specifically. I would love that for sure.
Yeah, yeah. There's some really cool ones. You just like press space bar and you speak, and it like gets it all correct, and it takes out all the filler. It's cool. But
Oh
um,
yeah.
but anyway, so here I've just kind of brain dumped a to-do list. So I'm asking it to give me a health check, and I'm asking it to check a few things: conversion tracking, search term review, disapprovals, and just summarize all of that. Compare spend, and yeah, that's pretty much it. And then giving it some instructions around like, please give me some priorities on the stuff that you're going to check. And so now
Wow.
I've got my to-do list saved in Opteo, right? And the nice thing is this is like repeatable across my clients now. So I've just got it saved in my library. And so something that might have taken me half a day to do, I can run in, well, however long this is going to take, but seconds, if not minutes, for it to take a look at this. So yeah, this for me, like I said, just one of those really simple ideas running a to-do list with AI. But I think surprisingly, a lot of people haven't thought to do this or aren't doing this. And I think it's worth showing this off um, as that kind of entry point for those people. Just like, a really simple task you can try just to see how good it is. So it's doing
That's
its thing. Yeah.
I'm sorry, but yeah, I'm one of those people. I'm one of those people that haven't done this, and I just literally, while you're doing it, I'm doing it right now. But yeah, I mean, this is something that is, well, even just like the pain point of like not knowing where to go, as we were talking about earlier, this totally eliminates that and gives us direction. And I think that's such a benefit, when it comes to making things simple as a PPC manager. But yeah, continue, please.
100%. Nice. Okay, good timing. So, I mean, first thing I'll say is like when you kind of get into, especially something like Claude, it does a cool thing where it will show you what it's doing behind the scenes. Like, if you wanted to dig into this stuff, you can to see what Opteo is doing. But ultimately, the best advice I got when I got into particularly like Claude Code was just like ignore everything but the output. Like, you just don't need to care or know. You can learn it later, you can learn as you go, but otherwise, you're going to overwhelm and maybe scare yourself into thinking this is too technical to use. So here, all I really care about now is the output. Like, has it helped me with my to-do list? And so it has run a health check, no recorded conversions for the second week in a row. This account's not in great shape, but that's okay. But it's basically given me a nice prioritized to-do list, a nice structured table that I can export, um, and gone through all those areas I asked it to. Conversion tracking, major issue. Okay. Search term review, issues found. So for me, let's pretend this is an account that I haven't touched in, a couple of weeks, for example. Maybe life got in the way. There's loads of reasons why things, it's easy to drop the ball with this stuff. But this just gets me right back to where it's at today. So I can now not worry about catching up, and I can actually worry about forward facing, what do I do with this account? So, so yeah, I think this is a really, really cool example of taking something that probably every Google Ads manager or every PPC manager has to do, and just taking a look at how it does it for you.
Have you demoed this to like actual PPC managers? And if so, what are their like initial like, oh, how come I haven't thought of this like type of thing? Or
Pretty much. I think what
yeah.
tends to happen is their eyes wander. I can see it on the call. I see it happening like live. Their eyes wander off the call and they're like sitting there, they're thinking, they're like, oh, okay.
Uh,
And usually they're gonna then immediately get up their to-do list, or whether they save, the list of stuff they do to show me on screen share, and we'll go through it and they're like, wait, so it can do this? Okay, but it can do this too. And I'm there like, yes, yes, maybe no, but yes.
oh, that's
Um,
great.
yeah, I'd say, it'd be crazy to assume it could do absolutely everything right now. There's limitations with AI and tech always, but um, we use the Google Ads query language, so GACL it's called, and it's basically anything you can get over the Google Ads API, any information, we're able to query that and help and use it to answer your question. So it can pretty much see the entire thing, the entire account, which is really cool. And yeah, the added benefit is obviously we have that data warehouse that I spoke about. So a lot of the time we're going in, and you can see down here, what you call tool calls. We're going in
Mhm.
to fetch bits and bobs. So we know that everything's quite reliable, and it significantly helps any hallucinations, which, like we said right at the beginning, if you're going to use AI and you're going to be like, right, what's my CPA, and the CPA is wrong, that's a problem. You can't really use the AI then for Google Ads. So it's important for the data
Yeah.
to be clean and accurate.
I love that. Yeah, no, this is, I'm one of those people, like I said, but I'm definitely going to utilize this to do list. But before we get into that next save prompt, I just kind of want to interject with maybe more of a generic question to kind of break up some of this segment. But what is probably like the biggest mistake you're seeing with PPC managers or just people in the PPC space when it comes to how they use AI right now, or the lack of using AI right now, I guess?
So repeat the question. How for
Yeah,
sorry.
what's like the biggest mistake you see PPC managers make when it comes to using AI?
Oh, there's a couple. I mean, if we're talking in the realms of Opteo, it blows my mind that people are still copy and pasting context about their account into like Chat GPT Basic every single time. Like
Mhm.
if you're grabbing the URL and sticking it to Chat GPT, or not even that, if you're starting the prompt saying, pretend you're a Google Ads expert, my client runs a plumbing business in London. this is the website, this is the campaign name, and you're downloading and uploading tables of data about the campaign, and it's taking you like 10 minutes to just ask the AI question. There are tools that can like just do that for you. I'm not even saying just
Yeah.
Opteo, but um, you can speed up that process significantly. Um, but yeah, aside from that, I think it's maybe not utilizing saved prompts or even working directly in LLMs like Claude and ChatGPT. Like they all have the ability to save um, workflows and prompts so that you can use them again and again. And I think people probably waste a lot of time just starting afresh every single time. So I think take it seriously and like find out what works for you and save it, write it down. Ask the AI to save it for you, and uh, yeah, build out workflows that keep going.
I love that. Yeah, no, I definitely agree with both of your points, but primarily that first one where you can have you can have AI ask the questions in a more precise way or just more complete way instead of our regular peanut brain just typing out, and then we're after like one sentence we're like, this should be enough, right, to give them the context. But naturally I feel like as we, especially PPC managers, we're so used to typing something in the computer to search something on either a search engine like Google or whatever it may be. And it's so precise. Like if I want to see a new golf club, I'm just going to type in best driver for beginner or best golf club for beginner. And then translating that into something like ChatGPT, we're like, how come ChatGPT isn't giving us the right prompt or the right information when I've written out 8 words? So I definitely do agree providing more context and maybe leveraging AI on top of AI, as we talked about, can definitely be a better way to use AI and PPC. But yeah, any kind of like final last words for this specific demo with the to-do list, and then we can move on to another that you're willing to show us.
Yeah, not really. I mean, just the world's kind of oyster with this stuff. Another fun one we saw from a user was they were going on holiday and they basically got Opteo AI to help them put together a handover for their teammates. So, they could go and chill on vacation and have the teammate know the state the accounts or their portfolio was in. So they weren't having to, you know, WhatsApp them or message them while they're on holiday to be like, like what's going on with this campaign? I'm like a bit clueless because it can be hard to pick, particularly with PPC, pick things up from someone without knowing the history or stuff like that. And this hooks into the change history as well for Google Ads. So you can even like see like recent changes, which is cool. So yeah, I think the world's your oyster with save prompts. So not just limited to to-do lists, any workflows it can pretty much do.
Yeah, no, I love that. Just because in general, it's so, I mean, it's for even for a PPC manager like me where I handle multiple accounts for several years, it's like, and now I've, fortunately have onboarded 2 new people to help me. So explaining to them, especially if there's a language barrier also, like a complexity of what needs to be done within an account or what to look out for as I go elsewhere or just am, away from the keyboard is, valuable in itself, just because of, like I said, it's super hard to kind of quantify, qualify, or just talk about what needs to be done sometimes. So yeah, I definitely agree. But yeah, moving on from this is great. Save prompts, definitely going to jump into that after we get off this call. What is the next thing you want to show us when it comes to
For
Opteo and
sure.
AI?
So I mean, here we're in the workspace, so we're kind of starting from scratch with prompts. But I mean, Opteo is a tool that's been around for 10 years. We're not just a PPC AI tool, and we've our bread and butter before AI was even an idea that someone had or built out was optimization, monitoring tools, a full suite of features. And one of the uh, tools in here, I would say isn't like particularly amazingly exciting on its own. I think every tool in Optio is cool, but this trends dashboard at a glance, you can see across PPC accounts like all your KPIs, and are they stable? Are they trending down? Are they looking good? Just get like a flavor of what's moving in the right direction or not. Um, and this alone is like a lovely feature because if you've experienced any PPC dashboard, Google, Meta, Microsoft, like it's kind of, you have to wait for it to load, and it's kind of, battle through those dashboards. That's all I'll say. This is
It's
nice and
terrible.
clean, but again, this is off the back of a call I think one of our team had with someone that was just sharing a nice story about how a KPI was trending down, and they got an email from a client. They hadn't caught it. Got an email from a client. Sometimes they'll go in the Google Ads on a whim, and you get an angry email, and they're like, "What the hell? What?"
Yeah.
I
What
mean,
is
like
this?
yeah, click through rates down 40%. What's going on? Why haven't you caught it? And this might be, the day you weren't even planning on going in that account, and you've got like a million other things to do. You're stressed, you're busy, life's getting in the way, loads of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Then you kind of have to stop what you're doing to save this relationship with the client, which is like incredibly important if you're an agency or a freelancer,
Mhm.
and figure out what's going on. Sound really smart while you do it. Sound like you're in
Mhm.
control, and also figure out like an action plan, what you're going to do. And reality is that could probably take like half a day. So that's very interrupting to what you plan to do. So here, if that was to happen, what I would now do is come in here and be like, cool, okay, click through rates down, explain. And I just ping that KPI. So what we're doing now is we're sending the table we were just looking at. I've sent the KPI, and I was looking at the last 30 days, I think. Sent that
Mhm.
to the AI, and just I'll have it crunch the numbers, and it's gonna basically write out a nice summary for me, which is cool. It's gonna like understand what's happening. And this is the cool thing, that I'm not staring at Google Ads thinking, okay, click through rates down. I need to go check search impression share. I need to check impressions. Let me check the change history. Did we change anything recently? All this
Mhm.
stuff that you've got to like remember to do, and then do and check. It just knows to do it. Like it's clever enough to do all that stuff for you. And so here it's giving me like a cool summary of like, uh, impressions grew much faster than clicks. That's a really interesting insight into click-through rate behavior, right? And probably right at the bottom of this, it's going to give me, okay, it's even asking me for some additional context. But what I would probably want to ask it to do, in this particular example we're talking about, is help me craft an email for the client, right? So
Mm.
help me write an email, client ready email to explain why CTR is down and what we can do about it. We'll see what it comes up with. I mean, the cool thing is I can also flip between models and Gemini, ChatGPT, Claude, in the Opteo settings. But yeah, here we go. Now I have like an email that if I wanted to be lazy, I could just copy and paste without reading it. But a good Google Ads manager would probably give this a once over and check it's all good. But yeah, I think you get the idea. Like, this is stuff that no one likes doing, if we're being truthful.
Yeah.
Imagine, Gene, this is probably not the best part of the job, is dealing with unhappy
Yeah.
clients, or firefighting problems that you didn't anticipate. Like, it's not fun.
Yeah. Yeah, and this problem, to zoom out, this problem decreases the workflow and the productivity of moving the account forward when you have to constantly explain things within the account. And this could go for either good things or bad things. When you're fully interrupted by, personally, if I'm provided an email from a client, my job within the hour is to address that within the hour, if not sooner. And that just kind of takes all momentum in an already confusing and chaotic Google Ads, I guess, daily life of optimizing and researching and going onto the landing page, and like you said, going and change history, going to my docs, making sure that what did I do, So I think this really helps decrease the time when it comes to communicating to a client a specific issue or good metric, and puts more time for us to actually go into the account and optimize so that we can either test or move the needle or scale. And I think that's super important as a PPC manager, to balance what time is allotted for reporting so that the client feels that I am credible and they are at ease versus what is the time where I'm actually putting the work into moving the needle with optimization management so that the client could be at ease. So definitely I agree that this is such a good way to kind of like decrease that time spent on it. But yeah, this is great. I'm definitely gonna use this because I get this all the time. I get this all the time. They'll be like, okay, well, even like the good. It's like, what did you do differently? Blah blah blah. And I'm like, and that's a great question. Because like it usually, I have cookie cutter explanations because I kind of know the client. So I know if they're like super into the account like every day, I'll be like, well, maybe the change that we made 2 or 3 weeks ago finally assimilated into Google Ads, kind of like paste them. But this is I think from my own, perspective, really good even on the go. And I kind of want to ask to piggyback off of this, and this is probably totally irrelevant to what Opteo is doing, but have y'all ever maybe thought of like a pocket size version on a mobile for this? Just because this just makes things so much easier where I don't need a full desktop setup to get that information that I need and send it over to a client.
100%. I actually don't know the plans, but I can definitely see the need. I know we've had like many requests for an app, and way back in the day, we were like, "Who's doing Google Ads on their phone?" Then like turns out like a lot of people are doing Google Ads on their phone or checking on things, and they're in like the doctor's office. Just you know what I mean? Like, yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of people are working on their phones now. It's just the reality. So I can imagine the appetite for that will be high. I'll let you know.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, like I know Google Ads actually has an app, and I hate it just because it's just like this is something on desktop, But the way Opteo chews it up and gives it to you in a very bite-sized way, where it's just straight to the point with this AI layered over it, I could see the adoption move towards mobile when it comes to optimization and PPC. But yeah, any final, I guess, thoughts of this or any other things we could drill down when it comes to trends?
Yeah, I mean, the trends there's a bunch of stuff, but yeah, I mean, for the AI like this again, I've just shown you kind of two bite-sized pieces. We've got so much on the roadmap that I shouldn't probably talk about, but the next iteration is just going to be so many upgrades to the stuff, being able to connect to Optio to other tools that you use, be a real hub of like information about not just your Google Ads or your Meta or your Microsoft, but also client communications, emails, sheets, docs, like anywhere that you store context and information. So that I think the future will literally be you go to a chat box and it already knows everything it needs to know to help you do the thing you need it to do, whether it's answer an email, whether it's actually do some heavy analysis, audits, create ads, like all that stuff. Context is kind of the key thing to make this really good.
Yeah, absolutely. And moving towards our last point, I know you kind of touched on and brushed on it a little bit. Where is it all going? Big picture, big themes. Where do you think AI in general, I guess, and within Opteo, if you're able to talk about that, is kind of headed?
Yeah, I mean, we spoke about this pre-call. We kind of did a temperature check, didn't we, on how we're both feeling. I said I'm
Yeah.
pretty optimistic with it all. Like I said, probably like a month ago, like that soon, my appetite for building anything on my own was very low, surprisingly, because I work in tech. But I was like
Yeah.
it's funnily focused on just my day to day. I had all this stuff on my to-do list, and my boss was like, you could probably build something that does half of that for you automatically. And I'm like, yeah, I know. But like in the time, it just felt quicker to do the thing, right? And then I spent like
Yeah.
one afternoon building something, and I like just got through my to-do list or half my to-do list in like half a day. It was nuts. And so yeah, I think I'm very energetic and very optimistic that this is just going to make people's job's a lot more fun. It's going to cut out a ton of grunt work. Like I said, the stuff that if we stop being polite, we just don't like to do. I don't think anyone gets into PPC to deal with, to firefight and for things to go wrong. You want to
Mm.
strategize. You want to try and get in on the creative work and, do the stuff where the client's like, oh wow, the stuff you did like really actually, you know, produced outcome. Like my business is thriving because of you. That's what you want to hear. And so, yeah, if you cut out a bunch of the grunt work, you get to do more of the stuff that hopefully leads to that.
Yeah, and I think that's what we all strive for in life. You know, when we do something that's monotonous, either be your job or just even your daily, it's like, what can I see or extract from this thing that I'm doing, this process that's actually, brings me joy, and then exceed or expand that, and then decrease the things that I know I have to do, because I don't really like it. So
Yeah.
I think that's just
Wait,
life maxing, as they
who
would call.
who's that? Was it Marie Kondo? She had the lady that sparked joy. She had that Netflix documentary. She's like, throw out everything in your house that doesn't bring you joy. I think people went crazy about it, but maybe she had a point. Maybe she was
Yeah,
ahead of the
ahead of
curve.
the curve. Yeah, no, this is yeah. I mean, that's I don't know who that is, but I think I automatically live by that type of mantra, just because as we get older, it's like, and I'm older than you, Shakir, for sure. But as I get older, it's like, life is too short to just dwell on the things that make you grunt and complain. What are tools and things that we could do to just really minimize those things? And I think this is a great way with Opteo. If you're a PPC manager, and we already talked about this, they're doing so many big things in this space when it comes to AI and just layering it on top. Don't forget www.opteo.com/the PPC Cave. Upgrade your regular 14-day trial to 28-day trial today. And Shakira, any final last words you want to leave our audience with when it comes to AI, or just words of wisdom when it comes to work, whatever it is? Any final last words for you?
Yeah, I think don't be scared. I'm really talking here, the people that are into MCPs and they know their stuff, are probably, you know, they know what they're doing. I don't need to speak to them, but to those that are still like a bit, in the up in the air about whether they want to take this on, and especially if they're worried about their role, when it comes to AI, if you're nervous and scared about what it means, I think it's happening anyway, and so I'd probably try and take an optimistic approach to it, lean into it, have your aha moment, take one little thing that just can I swear on the podcast? one
Yes,
thing
you.
one thing that pisses you off every every single day about your job, and see if an AI model can take that pain away from you.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it will improve your life, even if it's by a little percent. Just go from there.
Yeah, that's great words to live by. If it pisses you off, go ahead and try to throw AI on it. And if it works, then maybe you'll be less pissed off. And I totally agree. I totally agree with all of this. I believe this is a tool for enhancement. In other areas we won't discuss, maybe there is a different point of view of what AI can do to an industry. But in our industry, I believe that it can only enhance client relationships and performance altogether when it comes to PPC. But yeah, this was a wonderful time again with Shakira from Opteo. And I just want to remind all of our viewers, don't forget, we always release on Monday, 12 a.m. Mountain Time. Ryan will have to join us next time. Get the crew back together. But until then, you could always just email us for any questions at theppccave@gmail.com, or just comment on any of our socials. And we'll love to have Shakira back. All right. If that's all, then bye for now.
Thanks, Gene. Take care.
Thank you.